This is Nolan McCants. Thank you for joining us. Here talking about my new book, Building What Will Last. As a pastor for 30 years, ministry a little over 30, and entrepreneur for over 40, I think I got a little bit to talk about. I have invited my friend and my brother, Demetrius Davis, who pastors CityPoint Church in Chicago, a vibrant ministry there in Brownsville, to have this conversation with me. And why? Because we have been working together, walking together for some years now, and we have some shared experiences from different areas, different perspectives. But here we go. My friend and my brother, Demetrius Davis, thank you for coming. Yeah, man, I wanted you to come. You know, I got my new book, Building What Will Last.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I thought about you because we've been journeying together for these years, you know, even pastoring for you.
Yeah.
And so how old is the ministry now?
It'll be 18 years in August.
My goodness.
Time is flying.
Yeah. So, and we're going to get into the church in a few. But this book I put together, you know, for me to be 30 years this August. Okay. And, you know, in reflecting, I was literally just sitting reflecting. I just started to outline this book and thought it would be a good piece to put in the hands of new or emerging leaders, or leaders that may be some years in, but then after the fact discovering, after sharing with some more seasoned leaders, that they're benefiting from it as well. It's a reset, a reflection, a reflective piece. But I wanted to get your take on your immediate review of the book. What did you find in this piece, which is a playbook, a journal, workbook?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly punchy. Like I love the format that you've written it with. Like it reads like Cliff Notes, which for a ministry person, for a person that's in full-time ministry or bivocational ministry, that's really a impactful way to be able to receive information. Is like it's not overwhelming you with, you know, 1,000-word chapters, but it's punchy. It gets straight at it, straight to the practical. And then I love the fact that you then end with quotes and then space for people to think and journal, because that's really critical too. Yeah. What am I going to do with what I'm learning? How does what I'm learning apply to my situation? And how can I adjust things, tweak things, grow things based on what I just learned? Absolutely.
And then I end with that question that makes you think deeper about the topic. The one, I think I may have made it chapter 2, and it should have been chapter 1. And it had to do with defining success early. I think some kind of way, by the grace of God, I was able to do that on the front end of our ministry. Maybe it's because of the way I came into ministry, because I came straight out of entrepreneurial life to a couple of years ministry somewhere else to start in our church, which is crazy. Only God could do something like that. So I didn't have any lofty ideas. I didn't have any great expectations. In terms of achieving success, I had already done much of that in business. So when I came into ministry, I didn't have visions of big stuff. I only had thoughts of serving, pouring into God's people, and doing what he said. It kind of defaulted to a place of simply being obedient. In retrospect, I thought, man, if I could rethink that, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was important because I've seen people have these ideas of what success looks like. And so I don't know where you were with that on the front end.
Yeah. So I do, like, I love your point about like define success early, right? Because success doesn't need to look like church of 1,000 members plus. It does not have to look like grand campus, like we've learned that there are many stories of like that which looks like success, like it isn't. And there's data out there that really talks about some of the most healthy churches being like the medium-sized church, right?
That's right.
Campus is manageable and finances are strong, right? So, but I think it's important, to your point, to define what success is so that a church leader knows where they're going.
Right.
And if I had to go back 18 years, that's what I would change.
Okay.
I think if I were to add up the amount of just like good church stuff, because so much stuff fits in the bucket of like, yeah, we should be doing this as a church, but is that driving you towards your goal?
Right.
And if I had set some really strong goals or defined success earlier, I could have been a lot more efficient with time and resources.
Good. I think like, and some folk will say, well, that's obvious, but biblical alignment. You almost have to shut out the noise to be able to do that. And again, in the book, I share the simplicity of simply being true to what God gave you to do and to obey. That means you're going to look to your left, look to your right, see some things, may be enticed to shift. But the best thing that you can do is be disciplined to stay on course with what you know God told you in the beginning. And there's something really wonderful about taking that position. It just gives you stability, kind of eliminates the much of the anxiety, and keeps you away from comparing, which is always problematic. So,
and that's so difficult, like in this age, right?
Okay.
Social media, you jump on your feed. If you are a pastor of a church, the algorithm is going to feed you images of other church stuff. That's
tons of it.
And you're gonna see a bunch of people that are doing amazing ministry or ministry that looks a particular way. And so it's easy as a young church leader for your head to be on a swivel, to get into the comparison game. Why doesn't my church look like this?
Yes.
And so I think, again,
competition.
And the competition. And that can cause you to not be able to stay focused on what you're trying to build, because as you're building, you looking over here at what somebody else is building, and now you're trying to tweak what you're building. And so you look up, years have passed, you have no sustained, concentrated effort in any one thing, because you're all over the place based on comparison.
Yeah. I think some people hear clearly from God on the front end. I think others come into it over time. And I mean, that's cool too. As long as you know that at some point in time, you should establish what that thing is for your ministry, and then be able to articulate it in a way that the people can grasp it, buy into it, own it, and walk with you in it. It keeps you away from fads, which is another thing that I address, What shifts did you make that took your ministry perhaps in a more streamlined direction, where your point of success became clear?
Yeah. There was a point, I'm going to say it was about 5 or 6 years in, that I realized who our church was for and wasn't for. And I made peace with that.
Good.
And that was a really critical moment for me. And if we were talking from a business standpoint, I figured out my market.
Oh, good.
And I think church is really no different. Like we can say, I just want to reach people. Okay, like which people specifically, right? Paul was called to the Gentiles, right? Like there's some others that are gonna hold the Jews down, but Paul you're called to go over here to these Gentiles.
Yeah.
And I think, similarly, church leaders have to begin to identify the same thing. Not just that we want to reach people, but like, who specifically is God calling me to reach? Not that I don't care about the others, but maybe it's my style, maybe it's my delivery, maybe it's my
anointing.
My anointing. There you go. that isn't going to be
God put that in you to do that thing.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
And the beauty of getting in touch with that is you realize that it just comes so natural.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to research it out. You don't have to AI it. You don't have to, put a lot of energy. It just shows up. It shows up in your sleep. You awake to it. Mm-hmm. You walk it out, and it brings a real rich, deep fulfillment when you connect with that.
Yeah. And you're one of one in that.
Yes, sir.
And you helped me with that. I want to say early on, like being attached to you and seeing you very clear about your calling and your way of doing ministry, and you being at peace with that gave me a model to be able to follow. That what I do looks different. It sounds different. But I feel it deep in my bones and my spirit that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And some of what I was doing in the early 2010s that looked different and weird to a lot of people has now been vindicated through time, right? There's so many that are looking to do ministry in that way. But at that time, it was not the pervasive way of doing it. My target, like realizing I was called to millennials and realizing this in the early 2010s, like these kids were in college, right? But I knew I was called to that generation. They weren't showing up to nobody's church.
Right.
But right now, because of accepting that call and understanding that, I've had these years of mastering what it takes to minister to millennials, to reach them. And that's a big part of why I'm able to be as effective as I am right now.
Yeah. And I mean, stroke intended here. You jamming it out, man. I talk about it everywhere I go. When I'm presenting models of ministry, you can feel that contentment and you're being settled in that space and knowing. And the thing is, again, I'm being redundant here. You tend not to be competitive or anxious, or comparing yourself to others when you know your thing, right? And you can feel that on in what you do, and you can see it in the whole rollout of creation, of creativity, and just the high energy. It's just your place and your space. So, man, keep doing what you're doing. So now this makes me think of another chapter in the book, and that is creating culture. Because you take your dream, your vision, your it, and now you gotta bring it into the space where others can see it, taste it, feel it, fall in love, do it intentionally with framework. So what did you have to do to start to weave this into a cultural model?
Yeah. So one of the key things is like the vision casting. Like you got to be able to tell your own story as a leader to the congregation and to those that are following you. So I think everything starts with the vision casting, but then it's being I would call it like a tenacious, relentless culture keeper. If you are not like the culture gatekeeper at your church, other people will define and shape the culture for you. They're going to do it based on how it used to go at their old church.
Yes, sir.
Or how they wanted it to go at their old church. And so now that they're here with you and perhaps it's smaller, they feel like they can dictate. But you've got to like graciously and patiently guard that culture.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's a significant
But you come off as controlling, particularly when you are founding leader, pioneer, innovator, creator. There's so much energy and passion that comes with that. it can come off as controlling for controlling's sake. But I like the language you're using, guarding it, and that language for others to adopt, I think, is very cool.
Yeah, you're basically trying to guard the recipe, right? If you like Harold's chicken, or you're an Uncle Remus person, there is a recipe for each, and there needs to be consistency. When I go to Harold's, like, I want the mild sauce to taste the way that the mild sauce is supposed to taste. Like, I don't want some new employee coming in adding a little something because, like, my granddaddy has the most amazing barbecue.
Won't they do it?
And so somebody at Harold's protects that recipe.
It's true.
This is the way we do this. These are the ingredients we use. Sure, there are some other cool and innovative things out there, but this is the way we do it here.
I want to dig into that some more. Now you're making me think back, because one of the most difficult things to convey to people is that, right? And then the doing. What do you do to establish it and manage it? And I found, like, monthly meetings with leaders. That was something that we did consistently over the years. And that time was a time we used to talk that out. Talk about the beauty of what we're building. Talk about our roles in being guardians. Replaying, you're recasting. And then correcting and tweaking. And one of the things that I used to do, I shouldn't say used to, still do, after every, major event or activity, I would always come back, biblical alignment, this is why we do this, and vision alignment, this is why we did that.
Yeah.
And that whole practice prompted them to do the same. And we would encourage them, now take that to your team, have that conversation, talk it out. And wherever you are uncomfortable in this process, let's talk that out too, so we can get on track. And those kinds of structural disciplines will really help to make that happen.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
There are a few lines that you have in this chapter. I'm on page 26 that I think just really stand out. So the first one, culture will form whether you intend it to or not. It is simply what you do and how you do it consistently over time. I think that's critical. And then this other piece about it requires articulation. I'm lowered on the page. It requires articulation, not just in moments of teaching, but in how things are done repeatedly. And then you said something crucial in what you were just saying. You stated the word why several times, right? And I think that's a piece that can sometimes be lost by leaders. I know there have been many a season in my time pastoring this church where I forgot to explain why. And when you don't, it can come across as just me just being overbearing. Or
arrogant control.
Arrogant
control. Look, I'm the leader, I'm the man, I call this.
But when you lead with that why, this is why we do it. And then the other piece that I'm learning too is just you got to have credibility to go along with it.
Good.
Good. The wins are necessary.
Yeah.
All things do not have to go the way you plan, but if you're trying to get people to buy into culture and you're leading with a why, they gotta see the results.
Yes.
They gotta see some results.
Yes.
Like if they're following it and they're leaning into this culture and they're not seeing any growth or whatever the success metric was, then I think a person owes it to their team to sit down and reevaluate some of the things.
For sure.
And you get into kind of this notion in one of the chapters as well, where you just talk about like some way you put it, but basically like you're not the expert in everything.
That's right.
And that
you don't need to know everything.
A part of when our church started growing was when I was able to admit that
right.
I didn't know everything.
Loosen up.
Yep.
loosen up, be free.
Yep.
You know, it opens the door for so many opportunities. I used to use the language in my leadership teaching over the years. I use it more frequently, and that is mind the pews. What's in front of you that should be tapped into and utilized, that because of your all-knowing presence never gets tapped into. And so it's also, again, it's one of those things where that discipline structure, and with our leadership group, I would send them out. I say, go listen. Go find out what people do for a living. Find out what they've done previously in ministry. Find out what turns them on, you know. And I like the idea of starting with a project, you know, and which leads to another chapter that's in the book. And that is the whole thing of handing out titles and handing them out prematurely and setting structure too soon. You know, can we just date a while?
Yeah.
Can we just go to the movies?
Sometimes folks want a whole org chart built out
whole
for
deal.
a church launch, and you got people filled into spots on this organizational chart just so you got a body and a space.
Right.
And that's doing a lot more harm than good.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And as it was put to me early, it's much easier to crown a king than it is to dethrone a king. And once they get that title, because some people are also coming, unfortunately, from a place where they didn't have authority, or they didn't have power. So now this becomes their opportunity.
Yeah.
And wrangling those after the fact is tough. So
you don't even know if they're the best
you don't know
that you have at doing that thing.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a church plant or you're in the early years of your church, somebody might walk through the door 3 months from now.
Yep.
Who's that person for that role?
Oh, my God.
Now you got a problem. One, how are they gonna serve under this underqualified person?
Right.
That ain't gonna happen.
Nope.
And then you're stuck with the person that you wrongfully put into place. And then if you take them out of place, you may actually lose them as a member.
Oh, yeah.
Or lose them as somebody that you're
Them, their family, and friends.
Yep.
Everybody's offended. So here's one of the ways I would get ahead of it. Whenever I made an appointment, I would establish that you may possibly be a placeholder. Stay loose. It's not going to be easy. But if that person comes through the doors, you may need to be repurposed, repositioned. So I need everybody to be free. And I hold up my keys. I said, now these keys are available to whoever they belong to if that person comes and my time has passed. You know, I'm in the stage of ministry now where I routinely shake the keys. I'm looking, who's next? You know, I've done my thing, you know, at this level. But those are challenging spaces. You know, I just had a conversation with a young man, not young man, actually he's an older guy, who's looking to remarry. So he's going through the search, and the search is fun, like everybody said. It is really fun out here these days. And so he's dating this lady, and you know, it's there's a little tension there because he's trying to get to it so he can say, "Let's go." And the advice I gave him was, take 6 months, man, and just don't talk about marriage. See if you can get her to agree to not have those conversations. And just enjoy one another. I think the same sort of spirit needs to be present within churches.
Absolutely.
Create some space for just old school courting.
Yep.
You know, and then come into that more, fixed relationship where there's structure and you know your place and you're going to move forward. But be loose and,
There are two things that I think are like embedded within this part of the conversation as well. And it is we can be great pastors / preachers, but not great managers, and that will hurt you.
Yeah.
That's something that I learned big time. Is that I had to grow in the area of managing people.
Develop it a little better for me.
So many of us let me put it this way. The typical path over like the last 15, 20 years for senior pastors is like youth pastor. Like you do
start
that thing
there
first. And then once you've done that thing maybe well enough, you pastor one of the campuses of this church that you're a part of. You go plant a church, or you go candidate and be selected to pastor a church. What you didn't have to develop there, and what you didn't have to even learn in seminary, is the art of managing people and the art of leading people, which again is management. And so if you don't have those pieces, churches are, especially if you're a solo pastor, your church is largely going to run off of volunteer labor.
Yeah.
And so these are a bunch of people that you have to be manager of, and there is no attachment via paycheck. Like, this is just
right.
And so you're managing them through relationships, through strong vision casting, through pouring into them, through providing positive feedback, like all these things that you have to learn somewhere and become good at. You got to become good at correcting people, good at reaffirming folks after you've corrected them, conflict resolution between people, how to have a tough conversation to offboard a person. Yeah. And so what'll tend to happen, and I found this happen with me for sure, is because I wasn't good at it, I just deferred it and I just didn't deal with it. Yes. And so it let it fester. And then this other point I was trying to get to is it left people in positions that they should not have been in for way too long. Yeah. And so they held the ministry back. Yeah. So one of my questions for you is just on, like, can you share wisdom in how to move a person out of position that we've placed in position? Yeah. Well, I don't know if I have the answer for that one. That's a difficult one. I've had to do it. The most successful way that I've seen it done is that you have a clear path for them. There has to be a place you're going to reposition them in that has value, where they don't feel that it was a demotion. They don't feel that they've done something wrong. And sometimes it's a time thing. It's a series of conversations. It's perhaps again, giving them a project in that area. And as I remember now, in the early days, I would do it as an ask. I need you to do me a favor. Because you're a part of leadership, you understand the vision, you understand my temperament. I really need some help in this area. Do you mind giving me 6 months over here? And by the time the 6 months was over, they're not thinking that they just got fired. They're thinking, I've got the tools and the gifting to be able to help him over here. Then you can make that transition. It's a lot less disruptive. Yeah. So yeah, but it's, man, that's never fun, never easy. But I've always tried to move slow on appointments. Okay. But I have blown it a couple times, for sure. But I've always tried to move slow. And that's something else I dealt with here was temperament and impatience. Did that ring a bell already? Yeah. Impatience is a huge problem, because that's what gets you into those situations. So if I can just paint one picture of that, when you're starting a work, there's this desire to get someplace that you see. The truth of the matter is, you're going to have to, go one block at a time through stop signs and traffic signals and unexpected, so you really have to slow the pace
and you got to talk to yourself, and you have to put some things on paper that says we're doing this now. I just got off a call with one of my assistants, and she asked a question about a couple projects. You know, we're just trying to get everything stacked. I said, "Oh no, that's 2027." You know, now I'm going to tell you, it took years to get to the place where I could put somewhere a year, 5 years down the road and say, no, we'll get to that in 2027, 2029.
Yeah.
You know, it's challenging, but it's a great discipline to develop.
You just called out something that is, I think, so alive amongst young leaders. We're afraid of time.
Wow.
We're afraid of time. And it's weird that, like, when you are young and supposedly have the most time,
you get all the time in the world.
Yeah, you're afraid of time, right? I think it's this fear of aging. It's this fear of being passed up. Fear of getting to a particular point in life and not having met certain goals, right? I hear this from a lot of people. Your 20-something-year-olds are talking about they want to be able to become millionaires and be retired by the time they're 30, 35. Your 30-year-olds are saying, by the time I get 40, 45, I want to be able to have made enough money that I can retire. Your 40-year-olds are talking about 55, right? I think there's this progressive sense of, and I think your 55-year-olds are just settled in. So I think there's this progressive sense of wanting to achieve things quickly because we're afraid of life passing us by without either having achieved some things or gotten some, like, freedom and flexibility in general.
How much of social media has played into that mentality?
I don't think it's just social media. I think if boomers were honest and looked back, they would likely see a similar impatience when they were younger. I think, because I'm noticing the shift in myself. I've settled in. I'm not afraid of time anymore at 45. In fact, like, I embrace it. I don't want to multitask anymore. I want to do a single thing really well, and then I want to move on to the next thing. I want to stack the dominoes and keep knocking them down. And so I think for a lot of emerging church leaders, what I would say is you need to pause for a minute and think about what you're doing too much of and what you potentially need to, like, set aside so that you can focus deeply on. It's going to require some patience to do it.
And people development, because you can't just throw it over there. You got to develop that person culturally, right? Get into your head how you do, the organizational flow. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be my push. I think for a lot of leaders, we're probably doing too much and we feel like we're not doing enough. Part of why we feel like we're not doing enough is because we're trying to do too much.
Okay.
Take a thing at a time. My grandmama would put it this way: you are trying to be the jack of all trades and master of none.
Right. So we're right back to the impatience, right? Wanting to get it. So let's talk about land, buildings, and space. Also in the book. You went through some movement with location, and now you're in the sweet spot, but
what they say in the mob movie, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
I thought about it. Well, anytime I see your stuff show up, and I'm thinking, particularly when I see the babies, and knowing your location, your current location, then I see the new space that just came up. I'm thinking, that's wild, man. And I know you gotta be nuts, because with facilities and money and volunteers, there's never enough.
There's never gonna be enough. There's never going to be enough. And I'm having to come to terms with that and just get peace with it and just become better at navigating it.
Yeah.
Money's always going to be a thing. So the big thing I'm trying to learn right now is how to become a better fundraiser. I know that's a part of my growth in ministry and as a pastor is I need to become better at cultivating relationships, looking people in the eyes, asking for money
within the church or outside.
Both. I have to become very good at both.
Yeah.
And as a church planter, that's hard for me, especially like there are times when I work multiple jobs while pastoring the church.
Yeah.
My wife was in corporate for 20 plus years. And so we've always been in a position where we could help the church out. And so I very much kind of cultivated this sugar daddy type of way of showing up with the church. But the reality is, as you grow, you can't sugar daddy it anymore. Like the things that need to be done don't cost $5,000.
That's
anymore.
right.
They don't cost $10,000.
Right.
They cost $500,000,
right.
$1 million.
Yeah.
And you got to be good at asking people.
I hate
several million.
I hate it, and I'm not good at it. You know, there's been occasions where I raised substantial amounts, but even at that, it wasn't really substantial. I own that. That goes back to you ain't got to know everything. You ain't got to be everything. And I talk about knowing your strengths and weaknesses and facing those. And another huge one that can sabotage your leadership is when you refuse to face and deal with your insecurities.
Yeah.
That's a big one. You know, just to own it. If you can get there and you can get past it and you can bring others alongside. One of the things I've seen you do, Wendell, Martin, others, and I did it. So I'm like right at 20 years above you guys. Bishop Kirby, who you know, 20 years above me. And I've got that thing that's been rocking for a while. To have the wisdom to have a person that's out front to walk with you so that those kinds of conversations you can have when you are fearful, when you are insecure, when you are in doubt, when you are in a moment where you like to throw it all out the window. I won't say quit, because most of the time you don't really want to quit. It's just that moment of frustration because it's not as fluid as you'd like it to be.
Yeah.
But to have voices and to have people, and then of course, if you are blessed with a good spouse, that's a plus.
Absolutely. I have gotten into such a healthy space lately because I've been seeing a therapist since February. And it's been game changing for me to be able to name some of my insecurities, name some of my fears, and then begin to develop the tools to work through those things.
Yep.
Right. I think just self-awareness is a key ingredient that every emerging church leader needs to have.
Absolutely.
Back to the land and buildings piece a bit. Our church became something different in terms of growth when we bought our building. And I was one that was very skeptical of buildings at the time. It was coming out of COVID. This is what I think was a significant thing that happened. We finally, it wasn't just about having a building, it was that we finally had adequate facilities to do the ministry that we were called to do. I think that for me is the lesson. So whether it was we bought a building or we would have moved into a school that would have had more facilities, we finally had adequate facilities to serve the people that we wanted to serve. And as a result of that, growth started to happen. And so that's a word that I would say. And then as well, even how we got into the building, man, we've been blessed to have a fantastic CFO that has volunteered for our church for this entire almost 18 years.
Wow.
And so when the opportunity came up, our books were tight.
Yeah.
And that's a place that I fear some of our brothers and sisters will miss opportunity. Is just the books ain't tight.
Books ain't tight.
And so keeping that stuff straight, stacking a little bit of money to be prepared for when an opportunity comes. But then I think there are some that need to think about how the facilities might be a drag on their ability to do ministry.
Nobody wants to see that. Everybody wants to build and nobody wants to look at the downside.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the downside. And with that, is renting bad? Mm-mm. Right? Renting ain't bad.
We need more of it.
Okay. I think acquisitions need to be wise acquisitions. You know, from an economic standpoint, it needs to be a good choice, not just there's something available, we're gonna just squeeze in there. I know a major ministry that was able to acquire this massive campus. I don't think it was 5 years before they were in trouble. Mm-hmm. Huge ministry in terms of the number of people attending. Mm-hmm. But they ran into some challenges. So all of that takes wisdom. But yeah, and then the whole expansion idea, I think you have to get back to the why.
Got to get to the why. I've been looking at these. I've been trying to get a new car. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I don't even need one. I want a new car. I've had mine for 6 years. Okay. And I drive a Lexus RX. Mm-hmm. It's super reliable. Mm-hmm. It drives like the day I drove it off the lot.
That's a Lexus for you.
I looked at a Maserati, the Maserati SUV. Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous. What my car has is reliability, not swagger. The Maserati has swagger. But as I did my research on it, what I learned is that the maintenance cost of this Maserati mm-hmm. is going to be way more significant than this Lexus. And so I backed off of it because of that, because I'm basically taking care of a Ferrari engine, right?
Good.
And I think we got to think that way about church buildings. Yes, it may be beautiful. Yes, we believe God will make a way, but yes, like, you're buying something that may have 30 years of deferred maintenance.
Yeah.
And at some point, that roof is yours to replace.
Yep.
That parking lot is yours to have to repave.
Yep. And if you've not done the research, with those two items alone,
it can wipe you out. You can have, like, we have some situations where these buildings have 6 furnaces, 10 furnaces that operate the buildings.
Yep.
3 of them big jokers go out. Like, what you gonna do? It's summertime.
You don't have a choice.
What you gonna do with no AC on the kids' wing and in the choir area? Like what you gonna do? These are unsexy. These are expenditures that you will get no credit for.
That's right.
Nobody's coming to your church saying, "Oh, the AC feels good," but they will say something when it don't.
When it doesn't work.
Or when it's cold and there's a potential of pipes freezing downstairs.
Yeah.
We need to think really critically about it. I think personally, this is especially for the leaders who are taking over aged congregations and buildings. I'm talking about those who are celebrating, churches celebrating 100 years and things like that. Yeah. What I would love to see is a reshuffling of sacred spaces. There are some 100-year-old churches that are trying to get back to their glory days to fill up their 1,000+ seat sanctuaries. On the other hand, there are churches like ours that don't have enough space, that are running multiple services. I think those are conversations where our church needs to buy their church gets our church.
Correct.
200 seats, it'll be perfect for the 50 people who show up.
Yep.
It's not going to be big overhead. All that stuff like is taken care of.
Right.
You can cash out on this larger building, get rid of that headache, and now you got facilities that you can grow into. The meantime, a church like ours doesn't need to build a new building,
Another building. That's right.
Comes along with its own headaches, and cities aren't very friendly to that type of thing. But then that may have the resources to fix up, and that can go to the bank to get the resources to fix those up. The challenge is the legacy attached to these.
That's
buildings.
right. There you go.
And so, what is First Baptist if we're not at
That
First and Main Street anymore?
Yeah, and you're thinking about all the sacrifices that Mama and them made, and Grandmama made, and the tag that's on the pew, and it would be a wonderful thing if you could come up with a way to honor that, to say, well, we will never remove that.
Yep.
You know, or if we do pull these out, we'll just create a plaque and say this is formerly this church. You know, getting creative. But man, the ego factor, you know.
And so the whole thing comes crashing
The
down.
whole thing. The fear of loss, the mourning.
The mourning, yeah.
You know, all of these things are to play a part. Now, I think just more conversations like this could be so meaningful. You know, we hear a lot of church talk, and it's about a lot of stuff. And some of it is about a lot of stuff that doesn't mean a whole lot. But these kinds of discussions can be so helpful. In our conference in Atlanta last month, I convinced the board to do a listening session.
Okay.
So it was a panel of those of the emerging generation, and we were told to just be quiet.
Okay.
And listen. I can't tell you how beneficial that was to both. The emerging generation felt heard. My generation and above learned some things and left out saying, we're going to incorporate some of this in what we do, learning to listen. And that's what we're talking here. I've always, when it comes to facilities, in my mind, no matter where we were worshiping, I've never wanted above 500 people.
That's a sweet spot.
Cool, right?
Yeah, it is.
So I said, this is my cap. I said, I don't want to do multiple services. You know, I don't need to brag. I don't need to, tout how many, people come to my church let me 500 people. And that's with some associates who's helping to pastor, not me just trying to pastor the people. Now, at our peak, and I've always been reluctant to count it, dollars or heads. I mean, you do it for the business purpose. So I think at our peak, we might have been 350, 375. And that was wonderful.
That's a lot of people to shepherd.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Building What Will Last is a practical playbook for new and emerging church leaders. Hi, this is Nolan McCants. I've been involved with ministry for over 30 years, entrepreneurship for over 40 years. With all of those collective experiences, I've learned some things to help to build that will last. I have 29 principles in this book, and each of them will speak directly to you. But it's more than a book, and it's not a lot of reading. Actually, it gets right to the point of each of these things that I've presented, and then it provides space for you to journal, talk about where you are now, and then return later and note how you've progressed in those areas or the adjustments that you may have made. And then I end each chapter with a provocative question that challenges you in that area so that you may grow, develop, and build what will last. I want to talk about some of the personal maintenance kinds of things that are essential to leading from a healthy place. Of course, my book, Leadership Essentials, that I wrote years ago, opened up with a chapter called Practicing Rest. And I know that you have wrestled with that in a good way. Can we talk about that and how important it is for leaders?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Bishop. It's awesome to be here. So I do motionless Mondays now. I totally take Mondays off. And I try to stay disciplined with that, like, motionless piece. The only really active thing I'll do is try to go to the gym to do some active rest. But other than that, it's watching TV. It's finding something good to binge watch on one of the streaming platforms to just give myself some time to come down. Because I have found that there's only so many weeks that you can go where you let your weeks bump into each other for the sake of ministry.
Yeah.
And still be as vibrant and valuable to the flock as you need to be.
Are you able to turn off the phone from the texts, the emergency calls, and the emails?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I need to become better at that.
Okay.
I need to become better. I would say toward the end of Monday, I feel like I'm ready to go back to work.
Okay.
By the end of the day, Monday. I've been a little undisciplined during the first half of the day. I might have jumped in my inbox for a second. I don't open things that I don't need to open. Okay. But just in case something not related to church is there, I might end up in my inbox because everything is all in the same inbox.
So I'm all in your business now.
Okay.
So how often do you run into stuff on that day where you peep an email that you thought, man, had I not opened this today? I know, right?
That's interesting. So I may run into something because, of course, got the church, but then also real estate investments and stuff like that. So maybe a lender that I've been waiting to hear back from for a refinance has finally hit me back. I'm gonna deal with that on Monday because I'm in.
I would exclude that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking for that in my inbox. Anything church related, I'm not even opening that email.
Good. Because guys are so crazily undisciplined when it comes to that. When I wrote that one book, and I would go out and do workshops, and I would ask, basic questions like that. And, when's the last time you took a vacation? And then their hands were raised. I said, okay, let's define that. I said, are you talking church conference? Yeah. I said, that's not a vacation. That's not a vacation. So I think you have to think through what it looks like and what it means to rest.
Yep.
And then understand the value of it. I said, when you're rested, you live better, you love better, you serve better, right? But it's a discipline. You have to do that. Some other things, let me just look down the list because I saw a few things in here that I wrote when you write stuff like this. There's like 23 of these chapters. But okay, let's talk about self-governance as a pastor, as a leader. I think, I have to remind people, I say, I'm a people too. So I have to govern myself, my attitude, my prayer life, my Bible life, my family life, oh my God. You talked about therapists. I too locked in with therapy, and I love it because I get the chance to talk about some of this stuff, even at my age, 64 and grateful. There are things that I'm still undoing. There are things that I'm still tightening up to see if I can be awesome by 80. Awesome by 80. When it comes to self-governance, what are some of the things that you've noted for yourself that needed to be tweaked, that needed attention, that you're still working on?
Yeah. That discipline of reading the Bible for more than getting a sermon to preach.
Yeah.
Like you talk about the rest thing, that requires self-governance.
How about work ethic? Everybody's different with that. There's some leaders who, if they can get away with it, they do the Wednesday, Sunday check-in and the visits. But in terms of, building something, developing a team, developing leaders. Developing a team, that's another deal altogether. And I'm listening to your response to it. The assumption is that, well, don't we all get up in the morning and look to take care of these things? The truth is we don't all have that.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of freedom that pastors have.
There you go.
You know, like we have the few checkpoints that you mentioned. Did pastor come see me in the hospital? Was pastor there for Wednesday night Bible study? Did pastor show up to preach? And it's like, as long as we can tag the key fob on those days, then we're good to go. You know, we look like we've been doing the job. So there's opportunity to just really check out all week. And I have had those types of weeks in seasons of ministry.
Correct.
You know, where you're trying to work while burned out. And so you basically coast all week long and get yourself together
to get a good exhale
to do these key moments. But I'm in a season right now where, because of the goals that I've set, because of the way I feel the wind of the Holy Spirit blowing, I'm trying to keep my sails lifted up to catch this wind.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I can't coast right now.
Yeah. I saw it in your eyes when you came by the house. I saw it in your eyes. I mean, it warmed my heart, because I'm thinking, I know where he's at right now. It's a sweet place to be.
And I know it ain't forever. I know at a certain point, it's you bring the sails down, and it's time to coast on the water.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful season, and only God determines the length of that season. Okay, two things we hit in that. Okay, the prayer piece. Pray unceasingly. One of the things I encourage leaders to do is not just pray for the congregation, but to pray with the congregation. And I think that in-person, physical, I'm with you, let's linger here and spend some quality time. I know that your church fasts together and prays together. What does that look like for you? And what have you seen in the practical benefit of that? I know there's the spiritual dimension that we can get to as well, but
yeah, I so benefit from it. When I slow down to do it, to participate in the fast, I so benefit from it. I don't do them often enough, personally.
Yeah,
I need to, and that's part of the self-governance. It's
there we go.
Slowing life down enough to prioritize those spiritual disciplines. Is really important.
So, in the book, I talk about extending grace to yourself. That's one of those areas where I think you have to kind of find and establish pacing for yourself. You can't do everything at once. Like you're in a season that's requiring more of you, energy-wise, time-wise. I think that's where you have to say, okay. The reality is, I can't do it that way now. The discipline becomes, that doesn't mean you get to do it this way forever.
Yeah.
But for this season, for this period, let me extend grace. Let me also be practical and realistic. You know, I'm 64 now, right? I started my church at 34. Back then, we were doing 7-day fast. My wife and I, with water. You got it? And we were hearing from God in major ways and experiencing God, spiritually in major ways. You know, now I'm on meds. I don't know those kind of meds, y'all. Meaning, you know, these are good, healthy maintenance meds that come with 64.
Yeah.
And so that means I need to be eating in the morning to take the meds. So now I have to modify and adjust. You have to come up with more creative ways to employ some of those disciplines. But I agree, and I enjoy and always have enjoyed praying with the church. It's something that we established early, something that we do now. And our morning deal that I do Monday through Friday now, it actually started as a 2-week morning prayer gathering. 6 years later now, I'm meeting with them every day to talk about the book, to pray over it, and to draw closer to God. That was a God thing. But it means something different to the people when they see the leader praying. When they see the leader with a sense of urgency, with a commitment to it, and most of all, with a belief that God answers prayer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the foundation of the work is different when that is poured in.
Yeah. Our church, and we got this from you, so we do, we call them soul rise sessions. We do them twice a week, Tuesday morning and Friday morning, 6 a.m, and a different leader each day leads it, a little bit of reflection on the word, and then we let the people jump in and reflect, and then prayer requests, and then we pray.
Yeah.
And I'm not on them often. And a part of it, and I appreciate what you talk about grace and season, is just 6 a.m. is early for me in this just phase of life and everything that's going on.
Young daughter too.
A day like today, I might not finish meetings and things until past 9 o'clock. And just, I recognize like I need adequate sleep so I can be good the next day. But when I do get up to jump on those calls, the folks loved it so much.
Yes.
That pastor jumped in on this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It means the world to them. And it says that we ain't just out here flying off of gifts and talents. That there's a legitimate dependence on the Holy Spirit to lead us, to guide us, to empower us, and to bring us into those serendipitous moments that only He can do. And I'll tell you something, you know, I looked at the way you moved into this physical space, this building. I'm looking at what you're working with now in terms of facility. And I'm thinking, man, that ain't nothing but the hand of God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's clear. But stuff like that comes from the knees, because I also know that you didn't have to sweat the people to get there, which is often the case. By the time, you know, I've seen people build buildings or acquire buildings. By the time they get into the facility, the people are so worn from being drained. But I saw what God did.
We didn't raise one offering to move into that building.
You know, that's crazy.
It was a season of preparation and sacrifice, and then God opened up the door, and we were ready.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think this is a word as well, just to encourage other leaders. It's natural to be able to fundraise when you're about to buy a facility, and so we could have. We could have just raised money and just kept the money that we had, but we didn't. I stood up and I told the people, because of sacrifices you've already made, some of those sacrifices had been, they agreed to do fewer in-person services for about a year. We went down to like twice a month in person.
That's
twice
right.
a month, just
I forgot
online.
You did that. Yeah.
I had this conviction deep in my spirit from the Lord that this is not an efficient use of resources. The people are barely coming back from the pandemic. We're spending all this money on music and all this other stuff and staff to be able to have Sunday service, and only a portion of y'all are coming. And it's a strain on the few volunteers that are here. So let's shift, and we're going to take some of this money, save it, and some of the money, and we're going to direct it into impact work. And we did that for a year. And that money started to build up, and when that door opened for that building, I just stood up and said to them, "We got the money.
Okay,
we
now,
good."
See why you keep turning these corners? So that's integrity. Not everybody has it. That is honoring and respecting the people. It's not just about you. And that's huge. That's huge. Again, these are conversations that need to be had and heard, and these are wonderful things to adopt, because you could have raised that money. Because when people see things, they get at it. Okay, all right. I know our time is tight. I want to hit a few things. Don't plan out the Holy Spirit.
Yes, sir.
Don't package everything so tight that the Holy Spirit has no room to show up and do something different. What's been your experience with Holy Ghost disruptions, where He moved in and changed your order of things?
I'll say this building is one of them.
Okay.
Because you know where I was in terms of mindset regarding facility. And on top of that, it was a traditional church building.
Right.
And we had been a church with swagger, and we had these South Loop loft spaces and all of that. And so now all of a sudden, and the Holy Spirit, there was one night I couldn't sleep. And so I didn't want to be tossing and turning and wake up my wife. So I got out of bed, went into the guest bedroom, and I'm just on my phone. It's 2 a.m. On my phone, I'm looking at commercial real estate of all things, because I tend to look from time to time.
Sure.
What's available?
I get
our
it.
Church space. And I noticed this building had recently been sold by a church that I knew owned that building. And so I then started wondering, I wonder what else they're selling. I end up on a web page that they happen to have with all of their properties on it. It's 2:30 in the morning at this point, and I see the building that we currently own. And I said, I wonder if they would be willing to sell that building to us. I need to figure out how to get a meeting with that pastor. And about a week later, I rolled by the building. I saw that a church was renting it. And so then I saw that a church was using it. And so I'm like, this church own it? Like, what's going on? And continued to inquire, found out the church was willing to sell it. And we started a conversation. Man, they didn't have a price. It wasn't on the market. They told us to tell them how much we wanted to pay. This is God disrupting. And so we gave them a number, and we landed pretty close to that number that we wanted to pay.
Wow.
Favor of God.
Wow. And you could have said, we're content. We're not looking to do anything else. But you let God speak to you. What did Mama them say? Way in the midnight hour. and God dropped something in your lap.
That's when some of the best stuff happens.
Man, what are you talking? So similarly, the 4 acres of land that I'm trying to sell now, the day I bought that land, I was on the sofa in my family room, day off. Had this thought to call the realtor to see what was out there. Rolled over, grabbed the phone, called the realtor. He said, man, I don't know why you would call me. This guy just left my office. He wants to sell this land. Here's the number. What do you want to do? I said, let's do it. Money wasn't there. So we talked him into a land contract. Bought it for $300,000. I think we gave $18,000 down. Check this. Knew a gentleman, car dealer. Thought, let me just trade my wife's van in for a car because she's been carrying the kids around all these years. Let's get her a little something. I'm sitting with him while we're closing that, and I said, hey, man, I'm raising some money to buy this land. I want you to help me out. I'm thinking $1,000. He said, okay, how much do you need? I said, $1,000. He said, no, how much is the land? I said, it's $300,000. I need to raise a little bit more so I can go ahead and roll it over into a mortgage. He said, okay. Who's your attorney? He took a $300,000 check, took it to the attorney, dropped it off, told him, get back to me with the paperwork. Called me up. He said, hey, the land is taken care of, but you're going to pay me back. But here's your payment schedule, and we good.
To God.
I never told you that story.
Nah, I've heard some pieces of it, but no.
That's how it happened. Just like that.
Wow.
Just like that. So leaving room for the Holy Spirit to do what only He can do. Mm-hmm. But that kneeology, stand on the knees with the church.
Yes, sir.
Staying humble before the Lord, remaining a leader of integrity. All of that stuff has value. And and I think this is a good close for us to say to any aspiring, starting, in the mix leader, if you want the best that God has to offer, walk in this way.
Absolutely. That's well said, Bishop.
Yeah, Pastor, thank you so much. It's good being your friend and your brother. And man, I tell you, I cannot tell you how good it feels to watch you do what you do by God's grace. Keep doing it.
Amen.
I'm gonna be there, and if ever they kick me out of this church, or we decide to fold the tent, yeah, you'll have another member.
Oh.
And I won't bother nobody. I just
Staff member. If
I
you're
don't know.
careful.
I just want to watch it happen. Peace and blessings, everybody, for checking us out today. Go be successful in God.